morning.
Good
Got our
morning.
timer up. Hey, David, Shelly, Michelle, Cynthia, our little die-hard morning crew.
All right.
Yes.
You ready?
See you in 30.
Time's up.
Alrighty. Queenie, stop it.
Okay. Do it again.
Queenie. All right.
Be good, Queenie. See you in another almost an hour.
Time's up.
I still love that.
Mm-hmm.
Bing.
Oh, I'm caught up in a blog post. I'll have to
Reading or writing?
writing.
Mm.
Blog post about
That's all right.
a list of art history books that you could read if you
Ooh,
want
that's
to
a
get into
good
art.
one.
I know. I'm getting
That's a
really
good one.
excited about it.
My best post ever on Medium, like my number one best post, is just a list of writing books.
I wrote a post last night that was about my end of the year reading list, and I chose 3 books that I want to read by the end of the year that are like will challenge me or like help me learn something new. And that one was fun to write.
Did you buy that book about George Washington? I want to borrow that one. I have
that should be your end of the year reading thing.
Yeah, maybe it will be, because I've had this goal of reading a biography of every president.
Mm-hmm. Get started. I did buy it.
I've been waiting to find that particular one, like at a thrift store. Like I feel like that's part of my challenge, is finding them at a thrift store.
Like think about how accomplished you'll feel if by the end of the year you've read at least one.
Yeah, you should bring it over next time we come.
Okay. Mine, I chose the Diana Gabaldon's craft writing book because I need to learn how to write.
Oh, that's a good one. I've read that one.
And for the story that I'm gonna start writing on Monday, again, and then because it's new adult, and I feel like new adult is always spicier. Like I can't write a new adult book that like avoids that stuff. And then I really want to. I feel like I'm having a hard time reading like high fantasy stuff, right? The stuff with a lot of world building. Like I just can't get into it. But there's so many books that I want to read. And so I've had A Court of Thorns and Roses on my list for a long time. And I keep trying to start reading it and then I get distracted. Because it's just one of those that I feel like you need to get in a few chapters in before it like speeds up. So I want to read that and to like challenge myself to read a different genre. And then also I think I'm gonna read that highly sensitive person book that I bought.
Oh, that's a good one. A good idea. Let's pick a time before we talk about what's going on in Ninja Writers. Let's pick a time later today to get on for another hour, just me and you, to talk about our books that we're going to start writing today.
Oh, I thought we were going to do it at the end of this call. Oh, no, we can. I don't know. That's what I thought we were doing.
Okay, well, let's do that then. That's good. Then we'll be done.
Okay.
Let's see who else came in. I saw Katie Michelson. So we have Deborah, Michelle. I think I missed people. David. Hi, Cynthia, Michelle, Courtney. Good morning. Rebecca's here. She can only stay for half, but that's okay. Good morning, Karen, if you're still here. And she always remembers to remind you guys about the thumbs up. It's so sweet. Good morning, Priscilla. There's our Katie. Good morning, Katie. I think Catherine M is Katie. Oh, we have a Catherine M and a Katie. Good morning, Katie and Catherine. And Cindy Heath is here, and Lori Jo and Teresa. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on in Ninja Writers today? After our 10-minute sprint, there's going to be a discussion of the books Adrian and I are starting on Monday.
Yeah. I'm going to do Building Your Street Teams at 2 p.m. or 4 p.m. Eastern. I need to change that on the calendar. I keep forgetting. Ninja Readers at 6 p.m. Eastern. Both of those are if you're in the guild and if you're in a Ninja Readers group. Write-in at 7 p.m. Eastern if you're in the club, and Querying Basics if you're in the guild at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Let's see. I think some people reported. Michelle got 1,110 words for her 2 nano sessions. Slow going, but finally going. I don't think that's slow at all. Good job.
Mm.
Deborah's written 2,406 words today. I had to spend some time rewriting my third act outline this morning. Ooh,
All right,
Michelle says
Joe.
we have written 370,689 words so far. Wow. For
Wow.
NaNo, all of us. Oh, Lori Jo wants to know
Yeah,
about
Lori
Ninja.
Jo, I think you do have access because you're in the academy now, so you have access to the guild, and it's we opened the Ninja Readers up, but like in between each quarter, so the guild runs on a schedule of 8 weeks on and 1 month off, and so during that 1 month off, we put out a new sign up for Ninja Readers, but it's just basically we sort you into a small group of writers, and we give you a place on. I mean, you guys can either decide to meet on your own, or we give you a place on Friday evenings to come, and we just put your group in a breakout room, and you guys are good to go. So kind of like what we do in the academy, but without a mentor there. It's self run.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up our timer so we can get going. Alrighty, you ready?
Yep. See you in 10 minutes.
All right.
Yay!
That was weird. The timer alarm didn't go off.
All right, hold on. You start that. I'm going to get my photo album so we can talk about.
Okay.
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 How did everybody do?
Yeah, how did everybody do?
So in December, yes, in December.
Don't know for the ninja readers.
Oh. Shelly got 797 and has to go.
See you later, Shelly. How did you do?
I just was working on ideas for this story.
All right. Rick got 237, the end of chapter 4, and the beginning of chapter 5. Good job.
Nice.
Marika has lots and lots of new story notes from her walk.
Good.
Leanne got 151. And Cynthia got 2,571 words for this morning.
Nice.
Good job. And Michelle got her graphic done for the NaNo Facebook group today. She's about to post it.
Did you gave her the templates or something so she could do that? Yeah, she's doing a great job with that.
I gave her the colors and the
yeah, she's doing a fabulous job with those.
I think she's doing a good job with the group overall.
Very good job.
Ooh, okay. Well, who wants to start?
Do you want to?
Sure. Should I screen
So
share?
this is Winter and Alec's story or just something totally different?
It's Winter and Alex's story. Should I screen share?
Yeah. The one thing that keeps striking me is there's an actor named Alex Winter who's in Lost Boys. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Every time you
Alec,
say their two names.
not Alex. Alec.
I know that, but it's still like that's what comes to my mind. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Okay. I've never heard of that actor.
Yeah, he's like the blonde curly haired guy from the Lost Boys movie.
Oh.
So
okay.
I just thought I'd throw it out there, but I really like the name Winter.
All right. Well, I wrote a little synopsis and I have my 5 key plot points and stuff. Should I screen share and read through that?
Ooh. Deborah's thinking of starting a new book on Monday too. So yay. Bye, Lori Jo. Yes, let's hear your synopsis.
Okay, I'll screen share so everybody can read along if they would like to. Okay. This story starts in the town of Summer Springs, Nevada. It's a small town filled with lost potential, sprawling desert mountains, and run-down Clint Eastwood Western film-esque buildings. To those passing through, Summer Springs is but a blip on the map on the way to Las Vegas. To Winter Banks, it's home. Winter often wonders if her mother knew what she was doing when she named her after a season that's literally the polar opposite of the town's name and is also hardly ever seen in the little desert town. She wonders if she knew that Winter would be so different from the farmer's children she went to school with. Too smart and gifted and driven to be stuck in a town with only one stoplight, and her mother had been. This thought just makes Winter's secret way too much to bear. Winter Banks is 20 years old and has flunked out of college, but she won't admit it. If anyone asks, she's just taking a gap year, saving up money for a month of traveling in the spring. Admitting that she flunked out means having to tell her mom, who has worked too hard for her to be a failure, and her little sister, and that's just not an option. To Winter, ignorance is bliss, and she just needs time to formulate a new plan, any plan. Alec Cash was not supposed to be a part of that plan. Winter's grandfather owns the only hardware shop in town, and when you live in the boonies, a hardware shop is akin to going to the mall on the weekend with your friends. When Winter decides to accept her grandfather's offer of managing the shop on the weekends, she didn't know that it meant agreeing to work with Alec. Alec Cash used to be Summer Spring's golden boy. Now he's become the troubled kid who Winter's grandfather has given a chance not many are willing to give at the moment. Alec tried to remember that when Winter walked through the door, bell ringing to announce her presence. They weren't in high school anymore. Peter wasn't there with his pompous cool guy attitude, always at Winter's side. They could be civil, reasoned. They were adults. The Cash family had once been among the highest level of um that's the wrong word there. Socialites in the town back when Summer Springs was at its full potential, back at the turn of the century when mining was rich and the land was prosperous. The Cashes had found the town and now it was all gone. And Alec was stuck. Stuck with rumors his father's stupidity had caused, stuck with his mother, who he loved dearly, but who just couldn't cope with the loss of her wealth and stability, stuck with stares and whispers in a town full of judgment that loved to build up an image of himself that he didn't want. When Winter found out she would have to work with Alec, she begged her mother to talk to her grandfather. He was a Cash, he didn't need the money, he'd live, and the two wouldn't have to see each other any longer than necessary. She found it very interesting that Alec was still in town anyways. In high school, he'd seemed like the type that would have left the town in the dust long before anyone else. When her mother tells her of the rumors surrounding the Cash family, Winter relents. She'd just have to look for another job. He could have that one. Easier said than done in a quickly dispersing ghost town. So that's what I started with, but it's evolved since then. And so I think
To what?
I think my 5 key I think I developed the, like, what happened with, like, why he is suddenly, like, the town pariah. Um, and his
Mm-hmm.
father is a much bigger character in that. So I think my 5 key plot points show that, though, so this was just to get everybody into the story. Um So in my inciting incident, I think is Winter finds out that Alex's father has been accused of gambling away all of his clients' escrow, which I need to read about and understand a little better, resulting in the shutdown of the mine, the loss of their money, and the loss of many jobs in town. His father has been missing since May. This has ostracized the Cash family. Alec needs a job, and William is the only one willing to give him a chance. Winter is going to have to decide whether or not she's going to give Alec a chance as well. Walk in. So she has this 2 best friends, and our names are Peter and Daisy, and they're twins, siblings, and, her and Peter went away to college. They come back, and Daisy didn't go to college, so she stayed in the town for this whole last year, and they find out when she came back that she's pregnant and that her and her, like, long-term boyfriend had broken up, and, she didn't tell Winter or her brother. Um, and so Daisy swears that the baby is Alex, and Winter feels betrayed by both her best friend and Alec. I have, like, a backstory that, like, she came home a few months prior for, like, spring break or something, and her and Alec kind of had a fling, which is why, and then he just kind of ignored her, um,
Mm-hmm.
which is why she's so, like, against working with him, and not, they're not don't get along at the beginning of the book. Um, and Daisy was the only one that knew. And so now Daisy is claiming that the baby is Alex. Um, Peter confronts Alec in the hardware store about Daisy. Winter and Alec are sent to do a job A few hours away, and the truck breaks down. Alec is adamant that the baby is not his, that he was never involved with Daisy. He swears that the night Daisy is claiming it all happened, he was helping his father. His father is his only alibi, but he refuses to admit that he was with him. His father refuses to admit that
So
Alec was with him.
I'm having a couple of things are sticking out to me. One is that he doesn't really need an alibi because he's like, he hasn't committed a crime, unless Daisy is suggesting that the baby's Alex because he like forced himself on her or something, and he's in trouble legally. So I don't think you have a high enough stakes there.
Mm-hmm.
And can you say the inciting incident one more time? Because it doesn't seem like it had anything to do with these people.
The inciting incident I had was that Winter finding out about Alex's father, like why Alec is like what's happened to the Cash family.
Okay, but if what you're saying is what actually happened, like everyone would know. It would be very public, like in the newspaper. And
yes, but she hasn't been home. I mean, she hasn't been there.
Right, but I'm saying I don't think that's the inciting incident, because I don't think it wouldn't be like a surprise, because all she would have to have done was, I mean, like it would be such a local scandal that like her mother would have told her or something.
Yeah.
So, and plus it's like, that's not the story you're telling. So the inciting incident is going to be something to do with Winter or Alec or Daisy or all three of them. So, I think the inciting incident, I think if you spend the first half of the first act building up this deep chemistry between Alec and Winter, and then the inciting incident is Daisy, like instead of her like Winter coming home and Daisy's already like everyone knows that she's pregnant already, if the inciting incident involves her announcing that she's pregnant, or at least telling Winter that she's pregnant, and then Winter's like, well, who's the dad, and she says Alec, that would be an inciting incident, right? Something that's totally unexpected because there's not been any kind of relationship there, and Daisy would
My
have
lock-in is
known.
my inciting incident.
Huh?
My lock-in is my inciting incident.
That's so super common.
Mm-hmm.
Happens like 90% of the time where that's what you think. So I think that your lock-in is your inciting incident. And then, so the question then becomes, is she going to, like, what you need to establish is that it's not enough like who's the dad of the baby. It has to be like that there's some sort of mystery there that has a deeper connotation, right? So either Daisy is suggesting that not that she had a relationship with Alec, but that he raped her, or that they had a relationship and now now that Winter's home, he's abandoning her, or you know what I mean, like something. And it will add to the intrigue if, while the year that Winter's been gone, Daisy and Alec did get closer, right? So that it looks on the surface like it's possibly true. And so it becomes, because you've got this, the thing with the story set in a small town is that you have all of this I want to use the word intrigue again, but like everybody knows everybody and everybody's business, right? That's like the purpose. I mean, that's one of the things that happens when you write about a small town. And so if you have like in between, like the second half of Act 1, so Daisy makes this big revelation, and Winter, they're best friends, right? Daisy's her best friend. Or
Yeah.
Peter is?
They both are. Yeah.
Okay, but like close enough that
It's weird
like if
to
Taylor told you, let's say like you had a boyfriend or a boy that you really, a young man, like when you were 10 years ago, right? Or 20 or 17
okay.
years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, not 7 or 8 or 10 years ago, you had a boy that you really liked, but you weren't quite dating, but like everyone knew that you probably would. It was like inevitable. It had like this kind of faded feeling. And then you came home from college, like excited to see him, and you're going to take a gap year, and you've like finally decided to go all in with this guy, right? And you're, you've been home for a day and you're hanging out with Taylor, who's your best friend in real life, and Taylor tells you she's pregnant, and then that boy is the dad. How would you feel, right? You would believe her.
Yeah.
No matter what you felt about the guy, you would believe Taylor. And so in the second half of Act 1 is the aftermath of that, right? So Alec comes to see her or something, and he behaves like everything's the way it should be in his mind, and it would have been before Daisy's revelation. And she's cold and she's angry and she's whatever. And then at some point he's going to have to say something else is going on, something happened to Daisy, and she's going to have to decide whether or not to trust. In fact, the inciting incident might even be Alec, or involved in that is Alec asking her to believe him, right? That's the question. And so then something will happen where leading into Act 2, where she does or says or something happens for her to like side with Alec, like she believes Alec. So what is that? That's your lock-in, is when it's probably this after, so like in the second half of Act 1, they go on this, their truck breaks down and they have to spend the night together in a hotel. And with everything, all of the external pressures removed, that chemistry is still there, and she has nothing to do and no way to escape talking to him and listening to his story. And she believes him, but she also believes that something happened to Daisy. Like Daisy would not lie. And so if Daisy wouldn't lie, but she has, and there has to be something there. And because this is basically a romance, like a romantic suspense, the lock-in is going to be they kiss or more in that hotel room. And then like that's something that will be very difficult for her to unwind. It will be really hard for her to do that in the hotel room and then get back to town and still be like she's choosing sides. So
like he tells her in around this time, so I kind of have that happening here. I guess the second part of what I have here is that he tells her, that Winter, that like Daisy spent the last like 6 months working with Alex's father, and that he has suspected for a while now that like something happened between the two. I think maybe he saw something.
No, I think it's too soon for that. I think that needs to be in the midpoint area. I think there just needs, like, what he might say is that he noted like she changed, something happened. You know what I mean? Like she definitely changed a few months ago, and
yeah.
And then you're gonna have like she's going to make a choice where Daisy and Peter would expect her to ostracize Alec and like definitely believe Daisy no matter what. But it's not that black and white. and then some physical thing between them in the hotel room. You can decide how far you want that to go. A lot of that will decide on how far they had gone before. And then now they have to come back, and she has to navigate letting her best friends know that she doesn't believe her.
Okay. So I think
if I were you, what I would do as you're thinking about this is just imagine that you are Winter and Daisy is Taylor, and how would you feel about that?
Okay. I think I have my my inciting incident, my lock-in, and my midpoint all smushed into this lock-in area here.
Well, I think then
makes sense because I was really struggling with what my midpoint was. So
if you think about, okay, the midpoint is probably going to be like, if the goal is to solve the mystery of what actually happened to Daisy, right? Around the midpoint, you're going to want Alec to be exonerated. So something will happen.
I had that around the midpoint is when like Peter starts to side with Alec and Winter, that like he starts to like accept that something is not right with Daisy.
Right.
So that's what I had for my midpoint, but that's all that I had.
No, I think that's true. He knows there's something off with Daisy when she accuses him of something he didn't do.
Well, Alec does, but Peter is her brother.
So I think what I'm wondering if you don't have too many characters, do you need Peter? Well, what happens if you don't have Peter? Ask yourself this question. This is the question I always ask myself. What if you just lift Peter out completely? Do you have to rewrite a bunch?
Peter.
I know you like Peter, but he might be a character for another story. He has to have a purpose other than you like him.
Well, his purpose at first was that he was kind of the thing that was like so I had this I mean, the like you were right about, like I had this plan that like Winter and Alec, you know, probably should have been together in high school, but Peter and Alec were like rivals. Like they didn't get along, and Peter was always so like what was pushing them apart before the start of the story was Peter. And so when I developed that character, he was a lot more a part of that. But then I had too much conflict.
Yeah, I think that
but I like Peter. I like the like triad friendship between Peter and Daisy and Winter.
But Peter has to have a stronger, like more of a purpose than that.
Then
he has to do something in the story that's essential.
I don't know. I have to think about that. Anyways,
like when you were just reading your synopsis, Peter is almost not in there at all.
Yeah. Well, I had a thing that like the reason that Alec I don't know, Peter believed that Alec like ruined his chances of
there's already so much conflict with Alec that you don't need more, and it just confuses it. So it's got to be something else. I mean, the obvious would be that Peter, you know, is in love with Winter, but I think you have Peter as gay.
I do.
So I don't know. Unless you don't have, I mean, you know, because you have Daisy as her best friend and Peter as her best friend, and it's like doubling up on the same purpose, right? So if you just have Peter as her best friend and Daisy as his sister, that she's not either a younger or older sister, that she's not really just, not that close with or anything. And then the conflict is with Peter. Like she's actually choosing between her friendship with Peter and her relationship with Alec.
That makes sense. That would be easier to do.
Well, no, easy to do would just be to cut Peter out completely. And you don't have to
I don't want to cut Peter out. Okay. Well, and that makes sense because something I was struggling with was how can I have Winter like not just automatically side with Daisy if Daisy's like her best friend, but if she's like Peter's younger, just Peter's sister to her and not like a really
well, and I think it would be more intriguing rather than having some conflict already between Alec and Peter if the three of them are very close.
Yeah.
And then this fractures that, because Peter is going to side with his sister no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. God, that would be interesting.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would solve a lot of roadblocks I was running into. So I like the idea of like writing like a, I don't know. I'm enjoying from what I've written so far. I've enjoyed the writing, the like triad friend group scenes are kind of fun to write.
But the triad friend group.
Yeah, it could be Alec instead of Daisy. That makes sense.
And then it could be like there could be some jealousy or.
I wonder if Peter's dad or mom or somebody like could have been one of the people that have lost their job because of Alex's dad. Would that be too much drama?
No, I'm also wondering if the scandal with Alec's dad is also like too much. Like I'm wondering if instead you have this double mystery that comes going in
at like the end of
Alec's
the book.
Dad has taken off. He's disappeared. Not necessarily that he's like the whole town is crumbled, because the struggle that you're having or that I'm having with your story is that there's no way for Winter not to know all of that already.
Well, I mean, she can know all that then, fine. But my whole, like, the thing that drives this, I have a plan for this to be like 3 books. And the thing that they find out at the end of towards the third act twist and like as the book ends is that like the people the money that his dad gambled away belonged to some like very powerful men, like gang or mafia or whatever. And the only way that his dad could get out of that trouble was to is basically to turn over what he owned in the town, what the Cash family owned in the town, which was pretty much the entire town, over to these men. And at the end of the book, the men come in and start to take over the town.
Okay, so
and I really
what
like
you
that.
could have happening is that she comes home and this is just starting to happen, right?
Yeah.
Alec's dad is gone. He's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And or he's not missing. I don't know, but like his dad is doing these bizarre things like turning over businesses, right? And he's still in this gambler's mindset of attempting to hide what he's done. Like he still thinks he can get away. Like, so he's presenting it like, I've sold the grocery store. I've sold the mine. I've sold the hotel. I've sold all, this whole neighborhood of houses. I've sold these apartments. I've sold, and he's still trying to make it seem like he's an upstanding guy. And he's slowly crumbling. And then Daisy comes out with this revelation. And so now Alec has this like dual stressor of his dad's acting really weird, and he's been accused of something. And like what does his dad say when he tells his dad, like, I don't know what to do? Daisy Jones, or whatever her name is has said this. And then his dad acts really weird, and then Alec puts it together, but his dad is so important in the community that nobody's ever going to believe it.
Yeah. That's so okay. So
And in fact,
I feel like I have
I'm wondering.
I presented too much as backstory, and I think that means that I'm starting too late. So I need to start earlier.
You're starting, and you have like all the stuff already have happened.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think especially if this is a first book in a series, start with the normal, and then things start to crumble. And also do some research. But I'm wondering if like a DNA test would even be useful for Alec if his father is actually the father of the baby.
Yeah. Well, and my thing for that was because like, well, why? Because what happens, what they find out by the end of the book, I think this was around I had this come out around my main climax, was that her like Daisy's or Alex's dad has the reason why Daisy's like saying that Alex's dad is or Alec is the father is because his dad like came up with this plan that like that's what Daisy needed to do, that he couldn't be any further ruined, and that I was thinking that I don't know that the way that I was explaining like why Alex's dad would go to all those lengths to try to ensure that the town thought that Alec was the father, and what was that they had some sort of like physical trait that like it would have been, I mean, there was a good chance that it would be clear that this kid was a cash child when it was born, or as it grew older. So there was going to be like no way denying.
You could just make Alec black or Hispanic or native, or
that's
but if one thing that could be interesting of why would Alec's father even think that like how would he not realize that is that if Daisy, like in an effort to make Alex's father jealous or to try to make him like she starts down this path of a lie that she can't unwind now easily because she's scared or whatever, but she tells him that she has slept with his son, like in an effort to piss him off or something. And maybe it does piss him off and he beats her or something like that, and so now she's afraid to say it was a lie, and so she can't undo it, and that's how she gets caught up in this.
Yeah, that could, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and they also have that I think that Daisy knows something about Alex's dad, like all of that. Like I think that she overheard maybe some, his dealings with these like dangerous men.
In fact, she might be saying that it's Alec's baby because she's afraid of his father, and she doesn't and she doesn't want his father to know the truth.
Yeah. That could work too.
And if there's a night that's iffy, like where they were out drinking or something.
Okay, well then that changes things. Okay, anyways, my third act twist is the men moving into the town and claiming, like, starting to claim the town, and just everybody, Winter and Alec and everybody, just finding out the magnitude of what Alex's dad has done.
Yeah, and I definitely think it needs to be the truth coming out, like
Yeah.
about Alec and Daisy.
Yeah, I have the Daisy confesses here.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is also just where that storyline starts to come in, though.
Okay.
Right.
Deborah says, make Peter a woman so he can be another sidekick without being a love interest. Petunia. No, I like Peter being a man, but a gay boy. But I think you definitely... Like, I think that you are rushing the beginning, and that you have, like, how you want it to end up, and you're making it, like, start where all of it's already happened.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I have.
Well, what's your third act twist?
I told you. It's the men coming in and into the town, and, like, everybody finding out, the magnitude of Alex,
Oh, that sounds like the dark night of the soul.
And then, oh, okay. Well, then, and Daisy confessing.
So, but I feel like the third act twist needs to be something that comes from Daisy. I mean, Winter.
Oh. Well, I mean, I don't know how it could come from Winter.
Well, I think in the Dark Night of the Soul. What is the Dark Night of the Soul?
I don't know where I just have my main. If I have key plot points, doesn't include the Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah, that's the main climax.
I have Alec and Winter find Alec's dad hiding out in Ely. Alec's dad tells them the truth.
That's the third act twist. I think you need to shift those, rotate, like they need, like it needs to become very clear that the mafia or whatever mob has taken over the town, and all of that. That's part of the Dark Night of the Soul. And also, it has to be something that pulls Alec and Winter apart in some way. And so I think I'm not sure what that's going to be. I think that's where your weakness is here, is the Dark Night of the Soul is nothing about her. It has to be about their relationship. So that it's going to be something that pulls them apart. And I think at one point you were talking about Alec actually, when Alec actually saying that he is the baby's dad.
Yeah, I think that he kind of, as he finds out more about his dad, and they start to find out that, like, I don't know, that the I think maybe when he finds out that Alex's dad is the father of Daisy's baby, I think he starts to think, like, maybe it's just better if he just were to, like, step up and let everybody believe that, and kind of move on from the drama, and it would be maybe better for him and also better for Daisy, but not better for Winter.
Right. And I think that's part of the Dark Night of the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but how are you going to resolve that, right? How are you going to make it so that it's not better? Because just finding Alex's dad is not going to solve the problem, because it's never going to be good for Daisy to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Well,
need to have the third act twist is going to be what
well, the next book is going to be Daisy and Liam's story, and Liam was like Daisy's boyfriend before all this drama happened, and she broke up with him, which is like one of the things that, like one of the first things that's like that's really weird. You know, that like
so
sets
the third act
off that.
twist then is going to be that they finally find some way to protect Daisy that doesn't involve her marrying Alec.
Mhm. Well, I
And
think
then
that
the
it's going to be something about I don't know, Liam stepping in and um maybe the two of them. Well, I can't have the two of them. I don't know. I need to bring that in some way though. I think he's going to be a part of kind of resolving things for Alec and Winter.
yeah.
I wonder if maybe Liam knows the truth and Daisy like asked him to keep it a secret.
Hmm.
And maybe Liam finally tell like it, you know. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Well, that's what I have. I have my 30 scenes, but now I'm not too confident about them. So
No, I think you're doing good. I
Mhm.
think you just need to I think that if you you need to remember that your story is about Alec and Winter. So you need to make sure your plot points are about Alec and Winter.
Mhm.
Like what you have is what you I mean their points are all there, but what you are doing is like some of your plot points are about this mystery and some are about Alec and Winter, and they need to all be about the mystery or all about Alec and Winter.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. I think I'm done for today.
Well, what do you have?
We could talk about mine another time. I am wanting to just go right, I think.
Mm. All right.
All right. We'll talk about it mine later. Bye guys.
Bye.